Your life is a lie. Every thought you hold, every goal you chase, every fear that keeps you up at night, it's not yours. It was programmed into you, carefully, methodically. And the worst part, you never even saw it happening. From the moment you could walk, invisible hands have been molding you, shaping you, scripting your life for their benefit. Not for you. They built the rules you follow. They decided what success looks like, what's right, what's wrong, and even what's possible for you. And you've been playing by their script ever since. Ask yourself, why does your life feel like a grind? Why does every day feel like a repeat of the last? Why do so many people feel stuck, chasing things that never seem to bring happiness? The answer is simple. They built the game, and they rigged it against you. They programmed you to believe you're free, while every move you make serves their system. This isn't some abstract theory. It's real, it's precise, and it's designed to keep you compliant, distracted, and obedient. Think about it. Why do most people wake up, go to work, scroll their phones, pay their bills, and repeat the cycle until they die? Because they were programmed to. The invisible cage is so perfect, so seamless, you think it's freedom. But you're here. That means something. Deep down, you've felt it, haven't you? That unsettling feeling that something's off. That maybe, just maybe, this isn't the life you were meant to live. And you're right. The truth is, the system doesn't just control your actions. It controls your mind. They didn't teach you to think. They taught you to obey. They didn't encourage your dreams. They boxed them in with fear and doubt. They didn't give you freedom. They gave you a leash long enough that you wouldn't notice the collar. But here's the part they fear most. You waking up. Because the second you see the cage, you start looking for the key. The second you realize your mind has been programmed, you start rewriting the script. And that terrifies them. This video isn't just information. It's a wake-up call. By the time we're done, you'll see the strings they've been pulling your whole life. And more importantly, you'll know how to cut them. But be warned, this isn't easy. Most people won't wake up. Most will cling to the illusion, too scared to see the truth. But not you. You've already taken the first step just by being here. Now it's time to uncover the script they've been using to control you and show you how to take back the pen. Are you ready? Let's begin. The programming didn't start when you got your first job or when you entered school. It started before you could even speak. From the moment you were born, your mind was like wet cement, ready to take the shape of whatever was poured into it. And they knew this. They've always known this. By the time you were 7 years old, your brain was operating in a theta wave state. Scientists call this the state of imagination and learning. But here's the dark truth. It's also the state of hypnotic suggestion. Your subconscious mind absorbed everything without question. Every word, every belief, every fear. And this wasn't by accident. They were already laying the foundation for your cage. Think back. Every fairy tale you heard, every lullaby sung to you, every cartoon you watched. It wasn't harmless entertainment. It was programming. Stay inside the lines. Follow the rules. Fear the unknown. Do you see it now? Those weren't just stories. They were blueprints designed to train your subconscious to obey. And the real kicker? Even your parents, the people who loved you more than anything, unknowingly passed down this programming. It wasn't their fault. They were victims of the same system. They told you to be careful, to play it safe, to not dream too big. Because those were the scripts they were given. Generations, all trapped in the same cycle. But it gets darker. The system didn't stop at bedtime stories. It infiltrated every part of your childhood. Think about this. Why are so many classic children's tales rooted in fear? A little girl is warned not to stray into the woods or she'll be eaten by a wolf. A boy is told to never leave the path or he'll be punished. These weren't just lessons, they were warnings. Stay in your place. Don't question authority. The world is dangerous without us. And it worked. By the time you were old enough to form your own thoughts, the foundation was already set. Your subconscious mind, the part of you that controls 95% of your thoughts and actions, was wired to follow their rules, to stay small, to stay scared. Ask yourself, why are kids encouraged to believe in magic, only to have it ripped away when they grow up? Because they want you to stop dreaming. They want you to stop believing in possibilities outside of their system. They want you to think the only real world is the one they control. But here's the truth they don't want you to know. Your childhood wasn't just about learning, it was about conditioning. Everything from the bedtime stories you loved to the rules you were told to follow was part of a carefully designed program to mold you into the perfect, compliant adult. Think of it like this. If you wanted to control someone, where would you start? When they're strong, independent, fully aware? No, you'd start when they're weak, open, trusting. That's exactly what they did. They built the walls of your cage before you even knew what freedom was. But here's the good news. The same way you were programmed, you can be reprogrammed. That foundation they built, it's not permanent. It's just a script, and scripts can be rewritten. The first step, recognizing the chains. The second, breaking them. Once they laid the foundation of your programming in childhood, they needed to reinforce it. That's where the school system came in, not as a place to empower you, but as a factory to finalize your conditioning. Think about it. The moment you stepped into a classroom, you were introduced to a world of rules, routines, and hierarchies. It wasn't about helping you grow. It was about molding you into a predictable, compliant cog in their machine. Let's start with the bell. Most people hear it and think nothing of it. But why does a bell dictate when you start and stop your activities? Because it's conditioning. Just like Pavlov trained dogs to salivate at the sound of a bell, schools trained you to move, to act, to obey on command. It wasn't about efficiency. It was about control. The bell taught you to surrender your autonomy, to let someone else dictate your day. And what about grades? You were told they measured your intelligence, your potential, your worth. But did they? Or were they really just another tool to tie your self-esteem to external approval? Think about it. You didn't learn to love knowledge. You learned to fear failure. Every red mark, every bad grade sent the same message: stay in line or suffer the consequences. But it goes deeper. The curriculum itself wasn't designed to ignite your curiosity or teach you how to think critically. It was designed to make you memorize, regurgitate, and repeat. They didn't want thinkers, they wanted followers. That's why creativity and independent thought were stifled. Why were you taught to value right answers over asking better questions? Because questions disrupt the system. And then there's the structure. Look closely at a school and a factory. They're almost identical. Rows of desks lined up like assembly lines. A hierarchy of authority, from teachers to principals, timed shifts broken up by bells. The entire system was modeled after the factories of the Industrial Revolution. Why? Because schools weren't designed to create visionaries or innovators. They were designed to produce workers, obedient, reliable, and easily controlled. Let's not forget standardized testing. They told you it was about preparing you for life. But here's the truth. It wasn't about you at all. It was about the system. Those tests weren't designed to measure your intelligence. They were designed to measure your compliance. Did you follow the rules? Did you memorize the right answers? Did you stay in the lines? If so, congratulations. You passed their test. But at what cost? Creativity, independent thought, your sense of self. And the system rewarded compliance with gold stars and punishments for stepping out of line. They trained you to chase external validation, to fear mistakes, and to never question the authority in front of you. Sound familiar? It's the same system you find in the workplace, in society, in every part of adult life. But here's the most chilling part. None of this was an accident. The education system wasn't created to liberate you. It was created to prepare you for their system, a life of clocks, deadlines, and authority figures telling you what to do. Ask yourself, why weren't you taught emotional intelligence, creativity, or financial independence? Why weren't you taught to question systems of power or think critically about the world? Because empowered minds disrupt the status quo. Empowered minds don't obey, and that's the last thing they want. But here's the thing, the system only works if you accept it. The moment you start questioning, the cracks begin to show. The walls they built in your mind aren't as strong as they seem. Now that you see how they used education to control you, are you ready to see what they targeted next? Let's continue. While they were molding you in the classroom, they were dismantling the two most powerful forces that could have protected you, your family and your faith. These weren't just casualties of modern life, they were strategic targets. Because a strong family and a deep connection to something greater than yourself are the ultimate defenses against their system of control. Let's start with the family. Before the rise of this system, families were the foundation of life. They weren't just support networks, they were your first community. They gave you a sense of identity, purpose, and belonging. Meals were shared, stories were passed down, and values were taught at home. Family wasn't just a part of life, it was life. But today, families are fractured. Think about it. How often do families sit together for dinner anymore? How many parents have the time or the energy to truly connect with their kids? The system made sure of this. They overloaded parents with endless work hours, financial stress, and a constant flood of distractions, leaving little room for meaningful connection. A divided family is a weaker family, and a weaker family is easier to control. But they didn't stop there. They also went after faith, not just religion, but the very idea of believing in something larger than yourself. Once, faith provided a moral compass, a sense of purpose, and a refuge from the chaos of the world. It was a source of strength, uniting communities and grounding individuals. Now, faith has been replaced by consumerism. Holidays that were once about spiritual reflection, like Christmas and Easter, are now about shopping sprees and sales. Churches, mosques, and temples that once served as pillars of community have been replaced by endless streams of content on your phone. Sunday mornings used to be for worship. Now, they're for scrolling. Here's the thing. They don't want you grounded in something timeless, whether it's family, faith, or shared traditions. Because people who are rooted in something greater than themselves are harder to manipulate. They have a sense of self, a foundation that can't be easily shaken. And that's a problem for a system that thrives on keeping you disconnected and dependent. But it gets darker. Look at the narratives they've pushed about family and faith. Single parents are stigmatized, while traditional families are mocked as outdated. Religion is either demonized as oppressive or trivialized as irrelevant. Why? Because if they can get you to abandon these pillars, they can replace them with their own values: money, status, and the endless pursuit of more. They want you isolated. They want you drifting. Because a person without a strong foundation will cling to anything that feels stable, even if it's the very system designed to keep them trapped. But here's the truth they don't want you to see. Family and faith, in their purest forms, were never the problem. The problem was how they stripped them from you and replaced them with emptiness. You were meant to grow in connection, to find strength in purpose, and to thrive in the safety of love and belief. Now let me ask you, when was the last time you felt truly connected? To your family, to your values, or to something greater than yourself? That longing you feel isn't random. It's the part of you that knows you've been cut off from what matters most. But the good news? What's been broken can be rebuilt. What's been stripped away can be reclaimed. It starts with seeing the cracks in their system and choosing to rebuild your own foundation. Here's the most insidious part of their plan. They don't just want control of your actions, they want control of your mind. And they've perfected the art of keeping you in a state of constant mental drift, a wandering, aimless state where you react to life instead of living it. Drifting isn't something you consciously notice. That's what makes it so dangerous. You wake up, check your phone, scroll through notifications, deal with work, pay your bills, consume some entertainment, and go to sleep only to do it all over again. You feel busy, like you're doing so much, but deep down, you know you're going nowhere. That's drift. Why do you think most people never stop to ask the bigger questions? Who am I? What do I truly want? Why does my life feel like it's on autopilot? Because the system has engineered a world that keeps you too distracted, too overwhelmed, too exhausted to ever ask those questions. They keep you mentally asleep while making you believe you're wide awake. Here's how it works. Every aspect of modern life is designed to pull your attention in a million different directions. Social media algorithms keep you scrolling, chasing likes, shares, and validation. News cycles bombard you with fear, panic, and outrage, keeping your focus on external chaos instead of internal clarity. Work demands leave you too drained to reflect, while consumerism convinces you to fill the emptiness with more things you don't need. But there's a darker truth. A drifting mind is the easiest to manipulate. They don't need to force you into submission. They just keep you busy, distracted, and reactive. In this state, you're not creating your life. You're letting them create it for you. Think about it. How much of your day is spent reacting? To emails, to notifications, to breaking news, to the next thing someone tells you is urgent. Every time you react, you're giving away your focus. And where your focus goes, your energy flows. The system harvests that energy to keep itself alive while leaving you drained, uninspired, and stuck. Here's the truth they don't want you to know. Drifting isn't accidental, it's engineered. They've built a world where you never have a moment of stillness to think, to question, to dream. Why do you think your phone pings constantly? Why is every app designed to hook your attention? Why are we bombarded with ads, updates, and notifications 24/7? Because a drifting mind is too preoccupied to see the cage it's trapped in. But it gets worse. Drifting doesn't just steal your time, it steals your potential. The energy you could use to create, to grow, to transform your life is instead funneled into their system. You're not building your dreams, you're fueling theirs. And the longer you drift, the harder it becomes to break free. So how do you escape? The first step is awareness. Drift thrives on mindlessness, on habits you don't even realize you're following. Once you start noticing the patterns, how your time is spent, where your focus goes, you can begin to disrupt them. The second step is intention. Drift keeps you reactive. Intention puts you back in control. Every moment you spend consciously deciding how to use your time, your energy, your focus, is a moment they can't steal from you. Ask yourself this. When was the last time you stopped and truly asked yourself, what do I want? What matters to me? If you can't answer that, it's not your fault. It's the system working exactly as designed. But here's the good news. Drift only works when you don't notice it. The moment you see it, it starts to lose its power. The chains of drift aren't physical, they're mental. And the second you choose to stop reacting and start creating, the drift ends. Now that you've seen how they keep your mind trapped, are you ready to uncover the language they use to reinforce the cage? Let's move on. Words are more than just sounds or symbols. They are tools. Tools of creation and tools of control. From the moment you learn to speak, they've been using language to shape your reality, to limit your imagination, and to keep you obedient. The scariest part? You've been using their words to cast spells on yourself without even realizing it. Think about it. How many times have you said or heard phrases like, "Don't talk back"? That's just the way it is. Be realistic. Stay in your lane. These aren't just phrases, they're psychological chains. Every time you hear or repeat them, they reinforce the programming that keeps you small, compliant, and afraid to question. Language isn't just communication, it's control. Let's break this down. Don't talk back. Translation: silence your voice, suppress your doubts, and never challenge authority. From childhood, you were taught that questioning those in power was disrespectful, even dangerous. Why? Because the system can't survive your questions. Be realistic. Translation: don't dream too big. Stay within the limits we've set for you. This phrase kills ambition and creativity, conditioning you to believe that extraordinary goals are foolish. That's just the way it is. Translation: don't fight the system. Accept your powerlessness. This phrase is the ultimate surrender, convincing you that the status quo is unchangeable. But it doesn't stop there. Corporate jargon like team player and stay in your lane are just rebranded versions of the same commands. They frame obedience as virtue and dissent as selfishness. Even the word adulting, which has become so popular online, subtly normalizes the idea that misery, routine, and survival are inevitable parts of life. And here's where it gets even more sinister. Language doesn't just shape how you see the world. It shapes how you see yourself. Think about the labels you've carried throughout your life. Good grades, success, bad grades, failure. Follow the rules? Good. Break them? Bad. These labels taught you to tie your self-worth to how well you conform. By the time you're an adult, you're not living for yourself. You're living for the approval of others, chasing external validation instead of internal purpose. But let's go deeper. Look at the words you use to describe your life. I have to. I should. I can't. These aren't neutral. They're declarations of limitation. Every time you say, I have to go to work, you're reinforcing the idea that you're powerless, a pawn in someone else's game. Every time you say, I can't afford this, you're locking yourself into a mindset of scarcity. Why do you think the system encourages this language? Because words aren't just reflections of thought, they shape thought. When you repeat their language, you reinforce their control, you speak their cage into existence. But here's the truth they don't want you to know. Words can imprison you, but they can also set you free. The same power they use to control your mind is available to you. Every word you speak is a choice, a vibration that shapes your reality. Here's how you break their spell. Stop saying, I have to, and start saying, I choose to. This simple shift reminds you that you always have power over your actions. Replace I can't with how can I? Instead of reinforcing a limit, you open yourself to possibilities. Instead of saying, I'll try, say, I am doing. Commit to action instead of hesitation. It may sound small, but these shifts are revolutionary. Every time you change your language, you change your mind. And every time you change your mind, you weaken their control. Now ask yourself, how many of your beliefs, habits, and fears are rooted in words you've been repeating without question? How much of your life has been shaped by phrases that were never yours to begin with? The good news: you don't have to keep repeating their script. You can write your own. But to do that, you need to see the rituals they've used to reinforce their programming. Ready to uncover their next tool of control? Let's keep going. If language is the foundation of your programming, rituals are how they make it stick. Repetition is the key to control. They've built your life around rituals, not the kind that connect you to purpose, family, or faith, but the kind that reinforce their rules, their beliefs, and their system. And here's the terrifying part. You participate in these rituals every single day without even realizing it. Think back to your childhood. Every morning in school, you stood up, placed your hand over your heart, and recited the Pledge of Allegiance. Did you understand what you were saying? Of course not. That wasn't the point. The point was the ritual itself, the act of pledging loyalty, day after day until it became automatic, until questioning it felt wrong. This is how they train you, through mindless repetition. It's not about meaning, it's about muscle memory. By the time you're old enough to think critically, the ritual feels as natural as breathing. You don't question it because you've done it so many times before. But this goes beyond childhood. Look at the rituals they've woven into every corner of your life. Holidays. Once rooted in spirituality and connection, holidays are now rituals of consumption. Christmas isn't about generosity, it's about shopping. Easter isn't about renewal, it's about candy and sales. Even birthdays, anniversaries, and weddings have been transformed into opportunities to buy, spend, and conform. Work. The 9-to-5 grind is a ritual of obedience. Every Monday, you're pulled back into their system, counting down to the weekend as if those 2 days of freedom make the other 5 acceptable. And even your weekends? They're often consumed by errands, chores, or catching up on work. The ritual isn't about productivity, it's about control. Entertainment, streaming platforms, autoplay, and binge culture aren't just about keeping you entertained, they're about keeping you passive. Every time you Netflix and chill, you're engaging in a ritual of distraction, allowing them to harvest your attention while you sit idle. But here's the darkest truth. Rituals aren't just physical actions. They're mental and emotional too. Every time you scroll mindlessly through your phone, every time you check a notification without thinking, you're reinforcing a ritual of distraction. Every time you repeat phrases like, "That's just the way it is," or "I don't have time for that," you're participating in a ritual of limitation. These rituals aren't random. They're designed to keep you locked in their system, repeating patterns that benefit them, not you. They drain your energy, your focus, and your potential, leaving you too distracted to question and too exhausted to fight back. Let's take it even deeper. Look at how they've weaponized celebrations. Weddings. What should be a deeply personal and meaningful commitment has become a ritual of conformity. The perfect wedding requires you to follow a script, the dress, the venue, the guest list, the photos, and if you deviate from it, you're judged, you're shamed. Why? Because even your love must fit their mold. Graduations. They turn what should be a celebration of learning into a ritual of debt. The cap, the gown, the ceremony, all reinforcing the idea that you've achieved something within their system, even as you walk away with a mountain of student loans. Funerals. Even in death, you're part of their ritual. The casket, the ceremony, the expenses, it's all part of the system. They've monetized the end of your life, ensuring your family pays into their machine one last time. But here's the truth they don't want you to see. Rituals aren't inherently bad. They're just tools. And the same way they've used rituals to control you, you can create your own rituals to break free. Here's how you start. Replace their rituals with your own. If holidays feel hollow, create new traditions that bring meaning and connection back into your life. Celebrate in ways that align with your values, not theirs. Break the patterns of mindless repetition. Turn off autoplay. Set boundaries around your work and personal time. Be intentional about how you spend your energy. Create rituals of empowerment. Instead of scrolling in the morning, spend 5 minutes visualizing your goals. Replace checking out in front of the TV with journaling, meditating, or creating. The rituals they've built for you are chains disguised as habits. But the rituals you create for yourself, those are the keys to your freedom. Ask yourself, how many of your daily routines are truly yours? And how many were designed to keep you trapped in their system? The answer might shock you. Now that you see how they've used rituals to control your life, are you ready to uncover the bigger structure that keeps you compliant? Let's go deeper. If language is their foundation and rituals are their reinforcements, fear is the glue that holds it all together. It's their most powerful weapon, and they've perfected the art of using it to control you. Not just fear of danger, but fear of failure, rejection, scarcity, and even your own potential. Fear isn't just a feeling, it's a tool that shuts down your critical thinking, narrows your focus, and keeps you reactive. And when you're reactive, you're easy to manipulate. They don't need to put you in physical chains. They just need to keep you afraid. Think about the world we live in. Every headline, every notification, every breaking news alert is designed to trigger fear. The economy is collapsing. Violence is on the rise. Time is running out. These aren't just stories, they're psychological warfare. They want you in a constant state of anxiety because anxious people don't question the system. Anxious people follow orders. But fear doesn't just come from the news. It's baked into every part of your life. Fear of failure. You've been trained to avoid risks at all costs. What if I fail? What will people think? This fear keeps you playing small, choosing the safe path instead of the one that excites you. Fear of rejection. From childhood, you were conditioned to seek approval. Be a good boy. Be a good girl. This fear keeps you conforming, afraid to stand out or challenge the status quo. Fear of scarcity. They've convinced you that there's never enough money, enough time, enough resources. This fear keeps you trapped in survival mode, too busy scrambling to question why the system is designed this way. And here's where it gets even more sinister. Most of the fear you feel isn't even real. It's manufactured, engineered. They amplify small dangers into existential threats to keep you scared and compliant. Think about it. How many of the things you've been afraid of actually happened? And even when they did, how many of them were as bad as you imagined? The system thrives on fear because fear paralyzes. When you're scared, you don't dream, you don't rebel, you don't create, you just survive. And that's exactly where they want you. But let's go deeper. Fear doesn't just control your actions, it controls your biology. Every time you're afraid, your body floods with stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline. These chemicals were meant to protect you from immediate danger, like being chased by a predator. But in today's world, you're not running from lions. You're running from deadlines, debt, and notifications. And your body, it doesn't know the difference. You're living in constant fight or flight mode, and it's killing you. Chronic fear doesn't just make you anxious, it destroys your health. It weakens your immune system, disrupts your sleep, and saps your energy. It even rewires your brain, making it harder to think clearly or plan for the future. They're not just controlling your mind, they're breaking your body. Here's the truth they don't want you to know. Fear isn't a cage, it's a choice. It only works if you let it. The moment you stop letting fear dictate your actions, their control starts to crumble. Here's how you break free. Recognize the fear for what it is. The next time you feel afraid, ask yourself, is this fear real or is it manufactured? Who benefits from me being afraid? Reframe the fear. Instead of seeing it as a barrier, see it as a signal. Fear often points to what you care about most. Use it as a compass, not a stop sign. Take action despite the fear. Courage isn't the absence of fear, it's moving forward anyway. Every time you face a fear and act, you weaken its grip on you. Ask yourself, how much of your life has been dictated by fear? How many risks have you avoided? Opportunities have you missed? Or dreams have you abandoned because of it? The system counts on you staying afraid, but you don't have to. Fear isn't the problem. Your reaction to it is. The moment you stop letting it control you, you take your first step toward true freedom. But fear is just one piece of the puzzle. To fully understand their control, we need to look at the system they've built around it. The media machine that feeds your fear and shapes your desires. Fear keeps you paralyzed, but media is the tool that tells you where to direct that fear and what to desire in its place. It's their loudspeaker, their storyteller, their most effective weapon for programming your mind. Every screen you stare at, every headline you skim, every ad you scroll past is part of their machine, designed to do one thing: control what you think, feel, and want. Let's talk about the stories you've been fed since childhood. The hero always protects the system. The villain always questions it. Look at your favorite childhood movies. The charming prince, the loyal soldier, the selfless savior. They're celebrated because they defend the status quo. Now, look at the villain. They're rebellious. They ask uncomfortable questions. They disrupt the order. And what happens to them? They're demonized, destroyed, and forgotten. This wasn't an accident. It's psychological conditioning. They don't just want you to fear rebellion. They want you to idolize obedience. The message is clear. Follow the rules, stay in line, and you'll be the hero. Step out of line, and you'll be cast as the villain. But media doesn't just shape how you see the world. It shapes how you see yourself. Ads, social media, movies, even memes, they all create an impossible ideal of who you're supposed to be. They show you images of perfect bodies, lavish lifestyles, and effortless success. And every time you compare yourself to those images, you feel a little less worthy, a little less capable, a little more desperate to fix yourself. Here's the truth: the system profits from your dissatisfaction. Every ad, every influencer, every staged photo is designed to remind you that you're not enough, not rich enough, not thin enough, not successful enough. And the solution? Buy more, spend more, consume more. But no matter how much you buy, the goalpost keeps moving. Because the system doesn't want you satisfied, it wants you perpetually chasing, perpetually spending. But let's go deeper. Even the news, something you were taught to trust, isn't about informing you. It's about shaping your perception of reality. Look at the headlines. They're not neutral. They're loaded with fear, anger, and division. Every story is framed to provoke a reaction, to keep you emotionally hooked. Why? Because an emotional mind is a distracted mind, and a distracted mind is easy to manipulate. Think about it. How many times have you read a headline and felt a surge of panic, outrage, or despair, only to realize later that the story didn't actually affect your life? That's the point. They want you focused on external chaos, so you don't have time to look inward and ask the real questions. Who am I? What do I want? Why do I feel this way? And then there's social media, the most advanced tool in their arsenal. Algorithms aren't designed to connect you, they're designed to control you. They track your likes, your clicks, your time spent on every post, and they feed you more of what keeps you engaged. Not what inspires you, not what empowers you, what keeps you scrolling. But here's where it gets darker. Media isn't just about distraction, it's about division. Look at the debates raging online: politics, identity, lifestyles. They've turned every topic into a battleground, and you're told to pick a side. Why? Because a divided population is easier to control. When you're busy arguing with your neighbor, you're not questioning the people pulling the strings. Here's the truth they don't want you to know. Media doesn't reflect reality, it creates it. Every story, every ad, every trending topic is a carefully curated piece of the narrative they want you to believe. The more you consume, the deeper you're pulled into their version of the world. But here's the good news. You don't have to stay plugged in. The media machine only works if you let it. The moment you stop consuming mindlessly, the moment you start questioning everything you see, you take back control. Here's how to break free. Limit your exposure. You don't need 24/7 news updates or endless social media scrolling. Set boundaries around your screen time and choose what you engage with carefully. Curate your inputs. Follow creators, thinkers, and sources that challenge the narrative and inspire critical thinking. Unfollow anything that triggers fear, comparison, or negativity. Ask better questions. Every time you see a headline or an ad, ask, who benefits from me believing this? What are they trying to make me feel, think, or do? Ask yourself this. How much of your worldview has been shaped by the media you consume? How many of your desires, fears, and beliefs were planted there? The system doesn't want you asking these questions, but that's exactly why you should. Now that you see how media has been used to manipulate your reality, are you ready to uncover the final piece of their control? Let's move on. If fear keeps you compliant and media shapes your reality, consumerism is the system's lifeblood. It's not just about selling you things, it's about controlling your desires, your identity, and your worth. From the moment you were born, they've been training you to believe that happiness is something you can buy. And they've made sure you never stop chasing it. Think back to your childhood. It started with Happy Meals, didn't it? A brightly colored box, a toy inside, and a promise of joy. You weren't just eating. You were being conditioned. That little toy taught you to associate happiness with consumption. And the cycle hasn't stopped since. Now, the toys are bigger, cars, gadgets, houses. But the message is the same. Buy this, and you'll finally be happy. But here's the truth. They've designed it so that no matter how much you buy, it's never enough. That brand new phone, it feels outdated the moment the next one comes out. That dream house is just a bigger box to fill with more things. Even the clothes you wear are part of the cycle. Trendy today, outdated tomorrow. Why? Because the system thrives on your dissatisfaction. If you ever felt truly content, you'd stop consuming, and that's the last thing they want. Let's talk about planned obsolescence. Your phone, your laptop, even your appliances, they're not made to last. They're designed to break, wear out, or become irrelevant just in time for the next version. Compare that to 30 years ago. Cars were built to last decades. Tools were passed down through generations. But now, nothing lasts, and that's deliberate. Because the more things break, the more you have to buy. But consumerism isn't just about products. It's about identity. They've convinced you that what you own defines who you are. Think about the brands you wear, the car you drive, the house you live in. Why do they matter so much? Because they've linked your self-worth to your possessions. You don't just buy a product, you buy an image of yourself. The successful you, the stylish you, the better you, and it's a lie. Here's how they trap you. They create the problem. Ads, influencers, and media tell you that you're not enough. Not skinny enough. Not successful enough. Not happy enough. They sell you the solution. That new skincare routine, that latest gadget, that dream vacation. It's all marketed as the thing that will finally fix your life. They keep moving the goalpost. Once you've bought one thing, they create a new problem, a new trend, a new must-have. And the cycle starts again. But here's where it gets even darker. Consumerism isn't just about keeping you buying. It's about keeping you trapped. Trapped in jobs you hate to pay for things you don't need. Trapped in debt that ensures you can never truly break free. The average person spends decades working to pay off mortgages, car loans, and credit card bills, only to realize too late that the happiness they were chasing was an illusion. And the worst part? Even when you try to escape, the system pulls you back. Think about how they've monetized basic human experiences. Food. Fast food is designed to be addictive, cheap, and easy, keeping you reliant on convenience instead of health. Entertainment. Streaming services, video games, and social media aren't just distractions, they're dopamine traps designed to keep you hooked. Wellness. Even self-care has been commodified. Treat yourself is just another way of saying, spend more money. The result? You're too busy chasing, consuming, and working to ever stop and ask, what do I really want? What truly makes me happy? But here's the truth they don't want you to know. Happiness isn't something you can buy. It's something you create. The more you chase external validation, the further you drift from the things that truly matter: connection, purpose, freedom. Here's how to break the cycle. Question every purchase. Ask yourself, do I really need this, or am I being sold a feeling? Reclaim simplicity. The less you own, the less they control you. Focus on experiences, relationships, and passions, not possessions. Redefine success. Stop tying your worth to what you have. Define success on your own terms, not theirs. Ask yourself, how much of your life has been spent chasing things that never truly fulfilled you? How much energy have you wasted working for possessions instead of purpose? The system thrives on your endless consumption, but it only works if you let it. Now that you see how consumerism traps you, are you ready to uncover how they've divided us to maintain control? Let's keep going. If fear is their cage and consumerism is their leash, division is their ultimate weapon. The system doesn't just control you, it isolates you. It separates you from others, from unity, from the collective power that could dismantle it entirely. Why? Because a divided population is easier to control. And they've been using this tactic for centuries. Look around. Everywhere you turn, you're told to choose a side, left or right, rich or poor, this country or that country. Even something as trivial as sports teams becomes a battleground. It's not just coincidence, it's by design. They've turned life into a series of false dichotomies, creating an us versus them mentality that keeps you fighting your neighbors instead of questioning the real enemy, the system itself. Let's take a closer look. Why are borders so fiercely guarded? Not just physical borders, but cultural, ideological, and economic ones. Because they're not about protection, they're about division. Borders, both literal and figurative, are designed to keep you separated, to create others for you to fear and fight against. Here's how they weaponize division. Geopolitical boundaries, wars, immigration debates, and international conflicts aren't just about resources. They're about keeping populations distracted. When you're busy hating someone across a border, you're not questioning the people who drew that border in the first place. Cultural labels, nationality, religion, race, gender, class, they take these natural differences and turn them into walls. They convince you that someone who doesn't look, think, or live like you is your enemy, when in reality, you're both trapped in the same system. Political polarization. Every election cycle is the same script. They pit one side against the other, stoking outrage and fear, making you believe that the other side is the problem. But here's the truth. Both sides serve the same system. The debate is a distraction. The system stays intact, no matter who wins. And it works. Just look at social media. Algorithms are designed to feed you content that confirms your biases and inflames your emotions. They show you posts that make you angry, scared, and reactive, because anger keeps you engaged. And the more engaged you are, the more divided you become. But here's the part they don't want you to see. The divisions they create aren't real. The lines between us and them are arbitrary. The system doesn't care which side you pick, only that you keep fighting. Because as long as you're fighting each other, you're not fighting them. Think about it. How many times have you been drawn into debates, arguments, or outrage over things that, in the grand scheme of your life, didn't matter? How much energy have you spent proving your point, defending your side, or attacking the other? That energy could have gone toward building something meaningful, creating change, or reclaiming your freedom. Instead, it was wasted, just as they intended. But division doesn't just waste your energy, it robs you of connection. Humans are wired for unity, for community, for collaboration. And when we come together, we're unstoppable. That's why the system works so hard to keep us apart. They don't want you realizing that the person you've been told to hate has the same struggles, the same fears, and the same desire for freedom as you. Here's the truth they don't want you to know. Unity is their greatest fear. When people come together, when they see through the lies of division, the system crumbles. That's why they'll do everything in their power to keep you separated. Here's how you reclaim your connection. Question the divisions. Every time you're told to pick a side, ask, who benefits from this fight? What's the bigger picture? Seek understanding. Instead of arguing, listen. Find common ground. Recognize that most people are fighting the same battle you are. They just don't realize it yet. Build bridges. Connect with others across divides. Collaborate on solutions instead of fighting over problems. Ask yourself, how much of your energy has been wasted fighting battles that weren't yours? How many connections have you missed because you believed the divisions they created? The system wants you isolated. But the moment you choose unity, you break their hold. Now that you see how they divide us, are you ready to uncover their final layer of control? Let's dive into the cage they've built around your very concept of time. Let's continue. They've stolen the most precious thing you have. Not your money, not your possessions, but your time. And they didn't do it all at once. They built an invisible cage, piece by piece, so seamless you never even noticed it. Now, every moment of your life feels controlled, dictated, and drained. This is the final layer of their system, the one that keeps you running in circles, chasing a freedom that never comes. Think about it. What is time to you? Is it a tool for creation and growth, or is it a constant source of stress, a countdown clock always reminding you there's never enough? That feeling, that pressure, isn't natural. It was designed. Let's break it down. Time as you know it isn't real. The 9-to-5 schedule, the 7-day week, even the concept of working hours are human constructs. They weren't created to help you. They were created to control you. The Industrial Revolution standardized time to manage labor and production. Clocks weren't tools of liberation. They were chains, and you've been wearing them ever since. Look at your day. The alarm clock jolts you awake. The commute eats your morning. The workday drains your energy. By the time you get home, you're too exhausted to think, let alone create. Weekends? They're not freedom, they're recovery. You get just enough rest to survive, and then it starts all over again. This isn't life. It's a treadmill, but it gets worse. They've monetized every second of your time. You don't just work for money. You sell your hours, your energy, your life. They've convinced you that this is normal, even noble. Time is money, they say. But that's a lie. Time isn't money. It's everything. Once it's gone, you can't get it back. Even the way they structure time keeps you trapped. Think about it. The 9-to-5 grind. Your most productive hours, your mornings, are spent building someone else's dream. The weekend illusion. 2 days of freedom to justify 5 days of servitude. Vacations. A brief escape that often leaves you more exhausted than refreshed, just to pull you back into the cycle. And here's the darkest part. They've disconnected you from natural time. Humans were designed to live in harmony with the rhythms of the earth, the rising and setting sun, the changing seasons. But modern life strips you of that connection. Artificial light disrupts your sleep. Rigid schedules ignore your body's natural energy cycles. You've been forced to live by the clock, not by your instincts. But time control isn't just about your schedule. It's about your mindset. They've trained you to think in terms of scarcity. I don't have enough time. There's never enough hours in the day. This mindset keeps you in survival mode, scrambling to do more, achieve more, produce more. You're so busy racing against the clock, you never stop to ask, why am I running? Who set this pace? And where am I actually going? Here's the truth they don't want you to see. The cage of time isn't real. The deadlines, the schedules, the constant pressure, they're constructs. They only have power because you give it to them. Time doesn't own you. You own it. But first, you have to break free from the illusion. Here's how you reclaim your time. Redefine time. Stop seeing it as a currency or a countdown. Time is a tool. Use it intentionally, not reactively. Break their schedules. Set your own rhythms. Wake up and work when your energy is highest, not when the clock says you should. Disconnect from artificial time. Spend more time in nature. Let the sun, the seasons, and your body's instincts guide you instead of the clock. Guard your moments. Every notification, every interruption is a thief. Protect your time like it's sacred, because it is. Ask yourself, how much of your life has been spent on someone else's schedule? How many hours, days, and years have slipped away while you were too busy to notice? The system doesn't just want your time. It wants you to believe it was never yours to begin with. But here's the good news. You can take it back. Every moment you reclaim, every hour you use with intention, weakens their hold. And the more you free your time, the more you free yourself. Now that you see the cage for what it is, it's time to break it. The system wants you to believe you're powerless, that you're just a cog in their machine. But here's the truth they fear most. The same way you were programmed, you can reprogram yourself. The pen has always been in your hand. They just convinced you it wasn't. Their entire system, fear, distraction, consumerism, division, and time, relies on one thing: your compliance. The moment you stop playing by their rules, their power starts to crumble. It's not about fighting the system, it's about creating your own. Here's how you start. Step 1, reclaim your mind. Recognize the programming. Every thought that limits you, every fear that holds you back, every belief that doesn't feel like yours. It's time to question all of it. Ask yourself, where did this come from? Does this serve me, or does it serve them? Reframe your fears. Fear is a signal, not a stop sign. Every time you feel it, ask, what's on the other side of this fear? Often, it's growth, freedom, or the life you truly want. Choose your words carefully. Replace limiting language like I have to with I choose to. Stop saying I can't and start asking how can I? Every word you speak shapes your reality. Step 2, reclaim your time, create boundaries. Your time is sacred. Stop giving it away to distractions, obligations, and people who don't value it. Design your day. Instead of reacting to life, decide how you'll spend your time. Prioritize the things that align with your values and goals, not the system's demands. Reconnect with natural time. Spend more moments in nature, free from clocks and screens. Let the rhythms of the earth guide you back to your instincts. Step 3, reclaim your focus. Stop drifting. Drift happens when you let the system dictate where your attention goes. Instead, take control. Every time you catch yourself scrolling mindlessly or reacting to noise, pause. Ask yourself, is this serving me? Feed your mind intentionally. The media you consume shapes your thoughts. Choose creators, stories, and ideas that inspire and empower you, not ones that feed fear, division, or dissatisfaction. Step 4, reclaim your purpose. Redefine success. Stop chasing their version of success: money, possessions, external validation. Define success on your own terms. Ask yourself, what truly matters to me? Reconnect with your dreams. What did you want before the system told you it wasn't realistic? Start there. Your dreams aren't impossible. They've just been buried under layers of fear and doubt. Step 5. Reclaim your connection. Build your tribe. The system isolates you because it fears collective power. Find people who see through the illusion, who challenge you to grow, who uplift and inspire you. Together you're unstoppable. Heal relationships. Reconnect with your family, your community, your faith, whatever grounds you. The stronger these connections, the harder it is for the system to control you. Step 6. Create your own rituals. Replace their rituals with your own. If holidays feel hollow, make them meaningful again. Celebrate in ways that align with your values, not consumerism. Design rituals of empowerment. Start your day with intention. Whether it's journaling, meditation, or simply taking a moment to breathe, end your day with gratitude for what you've reclaimed. Step 7. Take radical responsibility. Own your choices. The system thrives on blaming others, but freedom comes from owning your power. Every decision, every action is a step toward reclaiming your life. Be the example. Show others what's possible by living authentically. Your courage will inspire them to break free too. The truth they fear most. Here's what the system doesn't want you to realize. The cage isn't physical. It's mental. It only exists because you let it. The moment you choose to stop playing their game, you start building a new reality, one that's yours, not theirs. The system is fragile. It relies on your participation, your energy, your belief. Without you, it collapses. And when enough of us step away, the world begins to change. Now ask yourself, what kind of life do you want to create? What story will you write now that the pen is back in your hand? This is your moment. The system taught you to drift. But today, you start designing. Are you ready for the final step? Awakening the collective? Let's take this revolution to the next level. Let's move on. Here's the secret they don't want you to know. You're not alone. The system wants you to believe you're isolated, that you're powerless, that you're just one person in a sea of billions. But the truth, you're part of something much bigger. The system fears your awakening, not just because of what it means for you, but because of what it sparks in others. Every individual who breaks free inspires countless others to do the same. It's a domino effect, a ripple that grows into a tidal wave. And once the collective begins to awaken, the system can no longer hold its grip. That's why their greatest weapon is division. They keep us fighting each other so we don't realize our real power lies in unity. Look around you. People everywhere are starting to feel it. The unease, the dissatisfaction, the sense that something isn't right. They're questioning the narratives, rejecting the illusions, and searching for truth. The cracks in the system are already forming, and the more of us who wake up, the faster it collapses. Why they fear the collective. United minds are unstoppable. When individuals come together, sharing ideas, resources, and strength, they dismantle the system's greatest tools: fear, division, and isolation. Awakened people inspire others. Your courage to live authentically, to question, to create ripples beyond what you can see. Every conversation, every act of defiance plants seeds in others. They can't control a crowd that thinks. The system thrives on obedience. A population that questions, challenges, and creates its own path is impossible to control. How you awaken others. Live authentically. The most powerful message you can send is your example. When you live with purpose, joy, and freedom, people notice. Your life becomes a beacon. Ask questions, not arguments. Instead of debating, plant seeds of curiosity. Ask, why do you think that? Who benefits from this? Questions open minds, arguments close them. Share your journey. Whether it's a conversation with a friend, a post on social media, or simply helping someone see a different perspective, your story has power. Rebuilding what they broke. It's not enough to dismantle the system. We must rebuild something better. Here's where the true revolution begins. Reconnect with community. The system isolates you because strong communities are unshakable. Build connections with people who share your values and vision. Support independent voices. Stop funding the corporations and media outlets that perpetuate control. Support creators, businesses, and movements that align with truth and empowerment. Teach the next generation. The system programs children early, but so can you. Teach them to think critically, to question everything, and to value creativity over conformity. Imagine a world where people prioritize connection over competition, creativity over consumption, and authenticity over appearances. A world where your value isn't tied to what you own, but to who you are. That world isn't a dream, it's a choice. And it starts with each of us taking responsibility for the energy we put into the world. The system's greatest fear is you realizing your power. It doesn't want you questioning, creating, or connecting. But now you see the truth. The question is, what will you do with it? You have two choices. Stay in the system. Keep playing their game, following their rules, and living their version of life. Break free. Reclaim your mind, your time, your purpose, and your connection. And inspire others to do the same. If you choose to break free, comment, "I escaped," and remember to subscribe if you found value and weren't already. And thanks a lot for taking your valuable time to watch this video. And remember, every decision you make, every conversation you have, every action you take is a choice between feeding the system and building something new. Choose wisely. Because here's the truth they can't erase. The world doesn't change through systems. It changes through people. It changes through you. The revolution doesn't start with someone else. It starts with you. Let's begin.